Welcome back to another Rebel Rant, and today we have something that very much touches heavily on pop culture, and it does so with a very disturbing slant. I know a lot of people out there might think that pop culture is not that important, it's not that big of a deal, it's on the fringes of society, etc., etc. And this video is a great example as to why that is completely not true. Pop culture matters. It impacts people's lives in ways that they don't even understand sometimes. So let's get into this video and I'll be able to explain to you why that is. So you may or may not have heard by now about the Troll doll controversy from Trolls movie World Tour. Now, the original mother that uploaded this video, her name is Jamie Nelson Cornaby, and for some reason I have not been able to find her video on YouTube at all, but I was able to track it down on Facebook. According to this profile, this is the original mother in this video, and I'm assuming that she never bothered to upload it to YouTube. She just uploaded it to her Facebook, and from there it was actually uploaded to YouTube by other people. Now, I already know what some people are going to say. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a mistake. Those are the usual, for lack of a better word, those are the usual blind sheep responses. Either anybody, people that have that view, they're either incredibly ignorant to how the world works, or they are in fact in support of these types of things that go on in the world, which is not something that I would be advertising if I were them. And all right, let's go ahead and start this video here and get into it, because honestly you really have to see it for yourself to really believe it.
Okay, I wanted to do a quick video because I find this disturbing and I find it something that needs to be shared. As you all know, stuff that's been going on in the world about the sex trafficking in kids and things that are thrown in our kids' faces to kind of groom them and make them kind of a little bit more oblivious to things that are really happening.
Yeah, so she starts off hitting the nail on the head. There is a real world problem regarding our children. Far more of them have gone missing than most people probably realize. And there are other things going on that is a whole nother rant. However, it is directly tied into stuff like this. And it is real, folks. Make no mistake. It is happening. Now, as far as this video goes, we're talking about this troll dolls here. As you're going to see here shortly, the button placement and the effect of this button as the child would play with it, it's not an accident.
So it was my daughter's birthday a couple days ago, and she turned 2, and she was given this gift. It's like a little Poppy doll. It's adorable. And here's the box. So she had a Poppy birthday, and so they gave her this. It's just from the new movie, The Trolls World Tour.
So it was a child's toy given to a child on her birthday. Merchandise from a movie that is made for and marketed towards children, designed to convince parents to bring their children to this movie and to purchase this merchandise. If you believe that any of this is an accident, then you do not understand how any of this works. We are talking millions upon millions of dollars being spent on these movies, on this merchandise, marketing, research. There is a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of man hours that go into these products. This stuff is designed from top to bottom. They do focus groups, or they do testing groups. They do. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on behind the scenes before these products ever hit the shelves. So to sit there and say, okay, let's keep going with the video. There's still more to come yet. You haven't even seen the real meat and potatoes, the real heart of the issue here.
On the box, it says Giggle and Sing Poppy. on the back, it says that if you push her tummy right here, sorry, it's glaring. If you push her tummy right here, she makes 10 phrases and sounds. And that's all it talks about. And it comes with a little comb.
Now, as the mother, Jamie, has very clearly demonstrated, the marketing, the packaging for this toy, it clearly states that if you press her tummy, she will start singing and whatnot. But as you saw for yourself right there in this video, it makes no mention whatsoever of the button on her bottom between her legs, or the noises that she makes when that button is pressed. It is not on the box at all. A doll that has been manufactured, gone through an extensive creation, development, and manufacturing process, makes no mention of this button that was purposely created and manufactured. It is nowhere on the box. If you think that is a mistake, then I have some beautiful beachfront property to sell you in the beautiful oceanfront state of Nevada.
So, I mean, she does all that. You touch her tummy and she makes little singing sounds and she's super cute. Well, I was showing her to my husband and I heard some other sounds that I had never heard before.
So, this is what happens. Parents just want to make their children happy. It's what they want to do. They want to bring joy into their children's lives. And when you have these companies that create these products, they spend millions upon millions of dollars creating these properties and this merchandise. Parents are trusting these companies to create something that their child is going to enjoy without putting them in harm's way, either physically, psychologically, whatever label you want to add to it. They want to protect their children while giving them something that's going to bring joy into their lives. And that is normal. That is what a good parent does. There is nothing wrong with that. In fact, that is the best parent that you could hope to be. As she's showing this doll to her husband, I'm assuming this is before they actually give it to their daughter to play with. It sounds like they're actually checking the doll out, which is great. That's what a parent should do. That's how they should be. Every parent, before they actually give their kids some sort of toy or device, need to be checking it out thoroughly before they allow their kid to play with it without restriction. So as she's showing this doll to her husband, it's not until she's showing it to her husband that she even discovers this button. She doesn't even know that, according to this video, she does not know that that button is there, that that doll makes these noises, until she's in the process of sharing it with her husband. And apparently they stumble across it accidentally. Because honestly, who in their right mind is going to flip the skirt up on a doll to see what's going on? Not too many people, I would think. Kids, yeah, kids might do stuff like that, but that's what kids do. Adults, not so much. There's no reason to think that there's anything untowards going on underneath that doll's skirt. There's no reason to think that. So as such, adults are less likely to be flipping up the skirts on the dolls. So it's only through sharing this doll with her husband and playing with it that they stumble across this feature, which, as you saw already, was not advertised on the box, on the packaging.
And if you look down here, I figured a video was the best way. So I just touched her tummy and she's going to sing for a minute. But down here is a button, right?
Okay, so yeah, as you saw, she barely touched the belly and it started singing as was advertised on the packaging. And as you can see right here, there is a button on the bottom of this doll, in between the legs. There is no logical explanation for this. In terms of a child playing with this doll, I've had action figures, G.I. Joe, Transformers, you name it. I was into the boy stuff. I've always been in the boy side. Why? Because I was a boy and I am now a man. This ain't my thing. Never was, never will be. But this is what it's an action figure type deal. It's a doll. It's a girl's doll. I had the boys' action figures. Some of them were electronic. Never once was there anything like this located on any of those action figures. Not even close.
Here on her privates, and if you push those, she makes these sounds. Like a gasping sound.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so as you just saw for yourself, that button between the legs, underneath on the bottom of that doll, has one purpose: to produce those noises. It is not advertised on the packaging of the doll. The doll is marketed as being a song and dance type of doll. The Trolls movie is famous for the song and the dance. This has no place on a children's toy. This has no place in the troll world. It is a children's world, a children's movie. This is a child's toy. There is no logical explanation for this button or the noises that it makes. If you're really going to defend this product as is, that says more about you than you realize. And if I were you, if you support Hasbro in the design and manufacture of this doll with this button, my advice to you is to keep it to yourself. Not because I'm not into fascism or censorship, but if you defend this doll, it says more about you than you realize. Things that you are better off keeping to yourself. You can make all the arguments in the world. I will trust my lying eyes before I give myself over to your thought process. This is not an accident.
And I know some of you may not think this is a big deal, but especially since I've had kids, this is wrong. For one, this button, it says nothing about this button on the box. Nothing.
And she is absolutely right. This is wrong. There is no justification for it. There is no logical purpose for this button or the sounds that it makes. At least as far as a parent or just a basic, decent human being goes. That just when she pushed that button and those sounds came out, it's difficult to describe. It sent a chill down my spine. My blood ran cold. And no, this is not an overreaction. That is an appropriate reaction. My stomach turned. Something like this, hidden from the parents. These parents stumbled across it by accident. It's not an accident. It's designed with a purpose.
It's just there. And it makes a gasping sound when you touch her privates. And to me, it's just like sexual sounds. And it's so disturbing. And I got online to see if there had been kind of any complaints. You cannot find this doll.
She is absolutely right. These noises are not innocent. And when coupled with the placement of the button, the lack of advertisement of this button or the function of this button, and the very clearly, what's the appropriate YouTube word for something like this? I honestly don't know if there is one. YouTube likes to, these are sexual noises, people. She said it herself, and she's not wrong. This is not an innocent child thing. This is This was designed and approved for manufacture. And there's nothing innocent about this. You cannot explain this away with any kind of convoluted circular logic. You have to be living under a rock or with some very serious blinders on to not see this for what it is.
On the Walmart website where the people got her, you cannot find this doll on their website anywhere. We even scanned the code. This doll doesn't pull up at all. I just think it's weird. And
now this is before the petition to have the doll removed. This is before Hasbro removed the doll from the shelves. For some reason, they were unable to find evidence of this doll on store websites. They looked up the barcode and they could not find any evidence that it existed other than the fact that they were holding it in their hands. That in and of itself is odd. In this day of instant information, that is very odd indeed. I don't know what it means. I can't really speculate on that without further information, without being able to research it for myself. At this point, the doll has been removed, so I would not expect to be able to find this doll as it stands today. But the fact that they couldn't find this doll on websites before all of this came out is on the odd side. I mean, you can find all kinds of stuff that's not even on the shelves anymore. You can find it online. Even if there's no place to physically buy it, it will still show up online as having existed. So as you can see, now Target would be the place to be able to find something like this. Target, I'm sure you know, there's been plenty of controversy regarding the bathrooms and whatnot. Target does not seem to have a problem with stuff like this, which is one of the reasons why I do not shop at Target. And I'm not seeing anything about this particular doll. There are troll dolls. It does not seem to be on the website. That appears to be mostly a plush doll, and this particular doll is actually plastic. I'd have to do additional research, but at first glance, no, nothing's coming up on this other than extensive articles and whatnot. So that is to be expected at this point.
You know, there's some things where I thought maybe, you know, not that you're like naive to the stuff that's going on, but maybe it's never happened to you and you're like, really? Are they really grooming our kids? Sorry, I think they are. Because you touch privates and she makes inappropriate sounds. Why? Why does a little girl need that? She doesn't. And it actually, as a parent, makes me quite mad.
Number one, as a parent, she has every right to be mad. Her and her husband both. That is their child. That child belongs to them. Not the government, not the state, not to you. That child belongs to them. It is their job, their responsibility to raise this child as they see fit. So anybody trying to argue against that, you are wrong. Plain and simple. End of story. Now with that said, this doll, she is correct. This doll is designed to groom little children, in this case, by and large, little girls, to associate the placement of this button and the noises that it makes with real life actions. This is not an accident. This is a very well researched and well designed toy. You do not create something like this with a button and that kind of placement that makes those types of noise without a reason. When you create something like this, you don't just slap it together. Hey, let's just throw this button on here and have it make these random noises just for the hell of it. That's not how this works. This was well thought out and designed with a purpose. She is absolutely right. This is grooming. And it is wrong. And this is why pop culture matters. Pop culture is a way for people to get into your lives that they might not otherwise be able to find a way in. I'm not knocking pop culture. I enjoy pop culture myself. I love movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, at least, I'm into pop culture just as much as the next guy. However, over the years, my eyes have been open to the reality of the people that are in control of our pop culture and the messages that they are trying to force upon us, that they are trying to normalize that should never be normalized. The perversion, such as this doll. Pop culture matters, folks. Your response, your actions to what they're doing to our pop culture, it matters. Your voice matters. This might not be mainstream politics. This might not be mainstream news. This may be very much cemented in pop culture, but guess what? It matters. And as uncomfortable as that truth is, it needs to be said and it needs to be acknowledged. And here we have USA Today, quote unquote, fact checking this woman's video, claiming that it is partially false. They're claiming that it is not intentional or part of child's grooming. Folks, they are wrong. This is a lie. And this should tell you everything you need to know about USA Today and mainstream media in general. They are pushing this agenda. They're covering for this agenda. This is why when the alphabet community invades our pop culture, such as Lou 2, which Rant has done a thorough video on regarding the Abby Smash scene. This is not an accident. This is intentional, and it is being covered up. And people need to open their eyes to what is right in front of them. The desire to feel good, to lose yourself in your pop culture, whatever flavor that is, cannot override your good sense, your ability to think for yourself, to recognize what is right in front of your eyes. It's right there, folks. It doesn't matter how much this bursts your bubble. This is not right. It's okay. You can still have fun. You can still enjoy yourself. You simply need to be more discerning. Because that is the only way that this filth and perversion will be eradicated. Not only from our pop culture, but from our day-to-day lives, in order to protect our families and our children. And it needs to be done. These MSM outlets, such as USA Today, are protecting this filth and perversion. They are making excuses for it, trying to convince you that your lying eyes and ears are not telling you true. And you have a responsibility to yourself and to your children and to your family to open your eyes and see it for what it is. So as I was preparing to convert this to video, I did notice something. Jamie Nelson Cornaby did provide an update on her Facebook profile. She stated that she was able to find the Poppy doll on the Walmart Canada website. But apparently that's the only place they've been able to find it. Now, I wanted to take a quick look at this because there was something, for me, very unsettling about the Canadian Walmart website regarding their version of this doll. Now, Jamie's update states that the website does make it clear that she makes it sounds when she's sitting. However, I'm not sure when this comment was made, and she's got over 2,000 comments on this thing, and I'm not gonna go through 2,000 comments just to find out exactly when she made this one. It's not really relevant at this point because the facts speak for themselves. However, and this video is about 2 weeks old from her upload. However, that doesn't change the fact this is a very disturbing toy. It's an unusual location, to say the least, and the very specific sound effects that come from this button speak for itself. You cannot argue this away. I am sorry. Now, if you look at the packaging on her video, it's very, very reminiscent of the packaging for the Canadian version. Now, the doll for Canada has different hair, her dress has different colors, and that is to be expected. Different country, they're going to have different details and whatnot. It's not surprising that it's not a 100% carbon copy. Now, in Jamie's video, you can see where it does say giggle and sing Poppy. However, the packaging on the back clearly states that if you touch the tummy, she'll start singing, but it says absolutely nothing about what it takes to make this doll, quote unquote, giggle. That is still extremely suspect. It does not change the previous arguments made within this video. And if you continue to the pictures on the Canadian website, you see this little girl playing with this doll in a sitting position. And it should not be difficult for you to imagine a little girl like this playing in her room by herself with her doll. The doll sits down, boom, activates that button. Kids will be kids. This is a very disturbing scenario, to say the least. Let's continue. So, first I want to go back to the fact that it says toddler Poppy. It's very clearly marketed as such. And then up here we have, who is more adorable than Poppy? Poppy as a toddler. This irresistibly lovable toddler Poppy, etc., etc. In and of itself, this description is innocuous enough. However, when you couple it with the reality of the manufacturing of this doll, and then, yeah, and I don't know how I missed this part. And wears a cute dress outfit that can be removed for dress-up doll play. Personally, I find that to be a disturbing descriptor regarding a child's toy. I'm not an expert on dolls, specifically girl dolls, but this just does not read well for me. If we go on down to the part that I was aiming for, the description continues. Always cute, Dreamworks Poppy is more adorable than ever in this doll that captures her look as an irresistible toddler. Let me repeat that. That captures her look as an irresistible toddler. And this is where my blood starts to run cold again. Where they say that she's an irresistibly lovable toddler poppy, that in and of itself isn't that much of a red flag. When you couple it with the button location and the sounds that come from that button, as well as this change in verbiage, the change in the wording, this just further cement the arguments made within this video. I'm sorry, but I cannot think of any scenario where I would describe a toddler as being irresistible. Period. As stated, irresistibly lovable in and of itself. However, with real world situations, that does throw up a red flag for me. Coupled with this change in verbiage, which drops adorable and simply describes this toddler as irresistible, but does create a knot in the pit of my stomach. Toddlers are not irresistible, folks. That is not normal. That is not how you describe toddlers. Children. You do not describe them as such. Okay, lots of normal people, adore, your baby's so adorable, blah, blah, blah. I've never once in my life heard somebody describe somebody else's baby or child as irresistible. It's not done. And Canada is not America. Canada is far more SJW and alphabet friendly than the United States of America is. So as chilling as this is, it is not as surprising as you might think. And when you take all of these facts together, all of these details together, the picture that it paints is very clear. So yeah, let's get back to this packaging here. So as you can see, this is the front and the back of the packaging for this doll. And on the front, it does clearly say giggle and sing Poppy. And here's the problem. When you look at the back, it very clearly shows an arrow pointing to the belly of this Poppy doll. And as you can see, the music notes flow directly into the torso of this doll. So it very clearly denotes that if you press on the belly, she's going to sing and make these noises. And if you continue to look at this packaging, the smaller picture in the upper right, it very clearly says hee ha ja hee hee, which represents laughter or giggling. And as you can see, the doll, not only is it in a sitting position, which does not I'm sorry, but for anybody that might make the argument, this does not show that the doll makes these sounds while in a sitting position. And here is why. Besides the fact that it is not clearly labeled as coming from a button in the bottom of this doll, there is an arrow very clearly pointing to the belly of this doll. This is extremely deceptive marketing, folks. This is not by accident. Marketing is a very precise field when it comes to merchandising and sales. It is very precise. Now, yeah, some companies do it better than others, but make no mistake, this is not by accident. This is by design. This this description of the quote-unquote giggling sounds, these graphics on the box, the lack of clear description, It is on purpose. It is designed this way to deceive parents, to get this toy past the parents and into the hands of the child. This is by design. And I would like to point out one last thing before we wrap this up. Hasbro responds, "This feature was designed to react when the doll was seated, but we recognize the placement of the sensor may be perceived as inappropriate." That right there. They openly admit that they designed this button to function as intended. They're not even denying, folks, that this is how they designed this button. But we recognize the placement of the sensor may be perceived as inappropriate. Folks, this is not an apology. This is not a denial. They are acknowledging that the placement of the sensor may be perceived as inappropriate. At no point in this statement do they say that the way this button is perceived is not what they intended. This is where you have got to learn to look beneath the surface, folks. These people, they're telling you the truth as plain as day without saying the exact words. It's in a sense, it's not so much a lie of omission, it's the truth of omission. They're leaving out key words while telling you the truth about their intent. They are not denying their intent. They openly tell you that the feature, quote unquote, was designed this way. They acknowledge, they admit that some people may perceive it as being inappropriate. They do not state that the button or its function or the sounds that it makes is inappropriate. They state that it may be perceived as inappropriate. In so many words, they are admitting that they designed it this way and they approved of it. And they have no problem with it. The packaging itself proves that they purposely deceived parents about this button and this feature in order to slip it past the parents and get it into the hands of their children. And the last part, Julie Duffy goes on to claim that this was not intentional. That is a lie. She contradicts herself in the same statement. This feature was designed. And then she goes on to state that this was not intentional. Which part exactly was not intentional? The fact that it was purposely designed this way? Or that the parents weren't supposed to catch it and then perceive it as being inappropriate? Words matter, folks. What we don't say matters just as much as what we do say. And Hasbro, in this message, has openly admitted that this button was designed and manufactured on purpose as intended. And with that said, do not hand your children over to pop culture blindly. Protect your children. This has been another Rebel Rant.